we also have to reimagine the writing process. Expressivist writing focuses on the product, and the transactional writing process asks us to look more at the process. That is, not the finished paper, but how we get to that finished paper. I hope to sort of coach you through the process, not just by correcting finished papers, but by helping you apply time management and project management techniques to the writing process that we'll see as having specific stages in it. Those stages are actually three: brainstorming, composing, and proofreading. These overlapping ovals represent the writer's point of view as the writer works through the writing process. The shading here during the brainstorming stage, which ought to be anywhere from 10 to as much as 25%, and I'm not going to fill in any more of this because you have some other slides you can look at where this stuff is spelled out for you. It's 10 to 25% of the time. It might be as much as 25% of the time spent brainstorming, which is just thinking about it. In fact, worrying counts as brainstorming, and the text here is shaded in because the text may not exist at all. It may simply be inside the writer's head, something you've just thought about, you're just worrying about. When that time goes all the way out to 25%, that's usually for a document that requires a fair amount of research, interviewing people. All of that is brainstorming. If it's time spent when you're not really sitting there trying to produce copy, produce words that might be in the final draft. Composing is the major part and the most important part of our writing process. It's anywhere from 60 to 80%. And in fact, most of the time, the best writers will be composing whenever they are writing. So in effect, it's not just really 80%, they always see themselves as composing. Notice that this is shaded here, because what happens when we compose is that we sit down and we finally write something. We're trying to produce final copy. For me, I usually write a screenful, and I do an abbreviated screenful. I shrink the screen down so it's not so big if it's a large writing project and I don't want the screen to intimidate me. So if I fill that screen up, or I write as much as I can just without stopping, I step back and read what I wrote. And that's the key to the composing process, is that we read what we wrote. We are readers of our own writing. And when we do that, if we find ourselves nodding our heads and saying this might work, which is what we hope happens, then we get kicked back into writer mode and we write, and that's what we hope happens in composing. We go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, reading and writing and reading and writing, until we reach a point where the text resists revision or we're unable to write anymore. When I get to that point, that's the only time that I actually run the printer and proofread. I still pretty much, I proofread on screen, but I still have to see it on paper for that final proofreading. This is the point where the text sits outside of this writer and reader perspective. We read it and it reads like something our final audience, our final readers might want. In this class, I see myself as offering you tips, tricks, and tools that will make you stronger readers of your own writing in the writing process. That's really what we're going to do, because this is the key to the writing process, is reading your text as you write it and reading it critically.